Understanding div tag in HTML5. The div tag represents a division or part of the page. That means it represents a meaningful section or box inside the web page. That means you can assume the div tag as a box that contains some meaningful content. So what kind of content you can place inside the div? You can place any content or any amount of content inside the div tag. For example, you can place one or more headings and paragraphs inside the div. You can place some plain text. You can place one or more images inside the div. Or you can place another div inside the div. Yes, the div tags can be nested. That means in a larger div, you can place a smaller div. That means in a big box, you can place a small box. By default, the div tag acts as a container for one or more HTML tags. And by default, the div tag doesn't come with any default style. So even before adding the div tag and after adding the div tag, visually there will be no difference. But you can apply some CSS styles based on the div tag. Anyway, we will see the CSS styles in the further lectures. But div tag is the best example of block level tags. The meaning of block level tags is, it is a box by default. So the content of the div tag will be placed in a separate line. For example, inside the div you have placed the content hello. The text hello will be displayed in a separate line. So the div tag can be used inside the body and also can be nested. In a large web page, you can place any number of div tags, and you can place other div tags inside each div tag. Thus, you will form meaningful parts of the page which help the developers to separate each section of the web page. In this existing application, I would like to place each city in a separate div tag. So we have 4 cities here. So I am placing 4 div tags. Each div tag represents the content of one single city. So this is all the content of the first city, that is Goa. So I am going to place a div tag and I am going to cut all the content of the city and pasting it inside the div tag. And so we can remove the HR tag as we have placed the content inside a separate div. Save the program. And if you refresh the web page, there is no particular difference in the output. But internally, invisibly, this particular area of the content is independently identified by using the div tag, so that you can apply CSS style to the particular div tag. Anyway, we are going to understand the CSS styles in the next lecture. And in order to identify the particular div tag independently, we can add ID for the particular div. The ID can be anything, just like a variable name. For example, I am giving ID equal to Goa. You can give any ID in your application. In fact, not only for a div tag, you can apply ID for every HTML tag in order to individually identify it in CSS or JavaScript. So as of now, there is no difference in the output even after adding the ID. So I am going to add another div tag for Kochi with ID equal to Kochi, and placing all the content of Kochi inside the particular div. Now creating another div for Varanasi and placing all the content of Varanasi inside the particular div, and removing the HR tag, and creating another div tag for Srinagar, and I am going to place all the content of Srinagar inside the particular div. Now I want to place all the cities, that is all the popular destinations, inside another outer div, because the div tags can be nested. So inside the div tag called popular destinations, we are having small divs to represent each city. So outer div is popular destinations. Each of inner div tags are individual cities. So creating outer div, that is div id equal to popular destinations, and placing all the content of popular destinations including all cities inside the div tag of popular destinations. So this is the closing of Srinagar div, and this is the closing of popular destinations div. Still there is no difference in the output, because only by placing div tag you will not get any difference in the output. By default, div tags are meant for separating the content into multiple sections, and you can bring visual difference in the output by applying some CSS styles to the div tags. Now I want to add the div tags for the Indian climate. I would like to place an outer div that represents entire Indian climate, and want to place inner divs that represents each individual season. So placing an outer div with some ID, for example Indian climate, the IDs will not be displayed anywhere in the output. IDs are just for identification for the developer, but not for user. And creating another div for summer, then for winter, for rainy, and also for spring. Now placing the summer content in the respective div, then placing the winter content in the particular div. In order to format the document properly, in Visual Studio Code, the keyboard shortcut is Alt-Shift-F. Then all the tags will be properly aligned based on the tree structure. Now placing the content for rainy, and also placing the content for spring. So this is how we create the content for Indian climate. The outer div represents the Indian climate. Inner divs represents the each individual season. Let's refresh the application. So visually there is no particular difference in the output, but we will beautify the same by using CSS in the further lectures. Attributes of div tag. There are no attributes for div. Earlier we were having an attribute called align, but that is removed as per HTML5 specification. So overall there are no attributes for a div tag, because the alignment, background color, border, margins, etc. should be applied by using CSS, but not by using HTML.